Everybody, okay, my laundry is done and folded. I don't know about you, but during this isolation time, I find myself cleaning house a whole lot more. It's This house has not been this clean. Oh, if you think this is what it looks like on a normal day, uh-uh. Okay, I cleaned this up because I don't want to insult you guys. So, before we move into the book of Acts, I want to look at a few things more with the resurrection. Okay, now, uh, some people say that the resurrection never happened. Well, it is one of the most attested to facts of history. We have more evidence of the resurrection than we have of just about anything else that happened in antiquity. But there are these different theories that go around, and they usually cycle through about every 200 years about how Jesus didn't really die. The first one is what we call the swoon theory, that Jesus didn't actually die at the crucifixion, that he just fainted or he went into a state of unconsciousness in some way or another. Well, this is one that's very popular actually today. That Jesus didn't die, he went into the tomb, he got better, and then, that's why people could see him. Utterly false, okay? You try, being crucified, well, first of all, beaten with a whip until your back is quivering lines of bleeding muscle, then having the nails put through your wrist and your feet, and then finally you have a spear shoved in through your lungs and into your pericardium sac so that it ruptures the heart. Okay, it's going to be kind of hard to get better with all that, even if there was modern medicine available. Another theory, false theory of the resurrection, is that Jesus just returned in spirit. Okay, that his spirit returned, but not his body. That is what the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society believes, otherwise known as Jehovah's Witnesses. They believe that Jesus returned to earth. The second coming happened, it was either 1916 or 1921, and he returned not bodily, but in spirit. No. Okay. Another is that the disciples were just having a vision, that they were in such grief that they hallucinated seeing Jesus. No. There's more than 500 people that saw Jesus once he was resurrected and before he ascended up into heaven. Some people say that the story of Jesus is just a legend or it's a myth. This is a very popular one today also. It's just a nice story with a teaching point. A real Jesus isn't necessary, but useful, and certainly, it teaches a good lesson. I had a lady in this class probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and she wanted to know why we had to learn so much about Jesus because he never existed, right? And I had to tell her, yeah, he most certainly did exist, okay? And the great number of scholars today, even if they discount Jesus as being God, they will certainly attest to there was a person named Yeshua, who we call Jesus, that did come out of Nazareth at this particular period of time, because there's a lot of things more that happened around him that he caused that also lead us back to knowing that, yes, there was a Jesus, and yes, these things happened. The next false option of the resurrection is that somebody just stole Jesus' body, okay? Maybe the Jews stole it, maybe the Romans stole it, maybe even Joseph of Arimathea stole it. No. Or one of my personal favorites is, when the disciples of Mary went back to the tomb, maybe they went to the wrong tomb. Really? If you lay someone to rest today and you come back tomorrow, and that's somebody that you really love, you are going to know the exact spot, and you are going to cry over that spot. Excuse me. No, it's not corona. Just as you know in class, when I talk a lot, I cough, I need to drink water. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Then there is the mistaken identity theory. Maybe the disciples and Mary, maybe they just thought somebody else was him. Maybe they confused Jesus for someone who just looked like him. No. And then there's the twin theory. And this one, actually Monty Python made a movie dealing with this. It's called The Life of Brian. I'm not recommending the movie. It is pretty good, though, but I'm not recommending it. It's nowhere near a biblical movie, okay? It's a biblical parody. And what this theory does, it says maybe Jesus had a twin brother. And the Bible doesn't say he didn't have a twin brother, so maybe he did. That's an argument from nothingness. That's just no. Okay? But there are some other evidences I want you to see about the resurrection. Other things that happened in the orbit of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Now, first of all, we have to look at the moral character of the witnesses that wrote this story. We know that these were friends of Jesus. We know that these are truthful people, that these are honorable, that these are respectful people, and they would not purposefully try to lie to other people. The tomb was empty. There is no body. To just get rid of this whole thing about Jesus rising from the dead, all they had to do was produce a body and say, nope, there he is over there on the slab. Okay? There are numerous and various resurrection appearances to many different people at different pieces of time. And another part of these appearances is they only last for 40 days. If people were just making this stuff up as they went along to get attention for themselves, yeah, I saw Jesus at Walmart yesterday, then, it would go on after the 40 days. But after that 40th day, there were no more reports of anybody seeing Jesus physically. There's a very unlikely nature of mass hallucination. We discussed that in the false theories also. And then there's the conversion of two skeptics, both James, which is Jesus' half-brother, and Paul. We see that Jesus' brothers almost mocked him, telling him, yeah, why don't you go on up to Jerusalem, show the people what you can do over there. They were not followers of his in any way. But, you know what? If your brother dies, and then 3 days later he's going, yo, James, what's up? Yeah, you're going to turn into a follower real quick. And then there's the conversion of Paul. Paul was a guy that was out hunting down Christians to take them to prison or worse when Jesus interceded in his life. And we'll get to that in our next lesson. But the biggest one to me is that the change in the day of worship from the Sabbath, which is Saturday, to Sunday by Jews. Now you have to think about this, that the Jews have been worshiping God on the Sabbath, on Saturday, from the beginning, okay? But something happened to make a great number of Jews and quite a few Gentiles at the beginning also change their day of worship from Saturday to Sunday. And Sunday worship is because it is the weekly anniversary of Jesus' resurrection. So, if you're going to say that there was no Jesus, that there was no resurrection, then you need to fill in that hole. Well, what made people change their day of worship from Saturday to Sunday then? Because you would need some earth-shaking event to do that. And the resurrection of Christ certainly fills that cup. Okay, so next time we will be getting into the book of Acts. Okay, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, and just keep safe, folks.